This Sunday, I'm in Ferndale for the annual Ferndale Fire Department Washington Games, where nearby fire departments come to compete in hose relay and bucket brigade.
We've got the relay. We run 200 feet of hose line. Got to put all the couplings together, put the nozzles on, take down our decoy ducts as our targets. Here it is the best time average out of 3 different runs, so you have time to redeem yourself. And then after this we do bucket brigade, so water from one trough to the other until the ping pong ball is out and whoever does it fastest. Here in the last 2 or 3 years we opened up to inviting other departments due to dwindling numbers. And it's been a lot more fun having everybody here from mutual aid districts.
Firefighters from Fortuna, Lolita, and Rio Dell fire departments came to compete in the games along with Ferndale Companies 3 and 4.
Good learning experience. I enjoy fighting people off when I tend to get dunked. I love it.
And all around seeing the community come together as one and, all have fun in a safe environment.
And it really gets to showcase our skills that we work on as a department individually and actually get to have fun with it and compete against each other.
While it may be all fun and games, competing in these games is no easy feat.
I would have to say the couplings for sure, because you can train and work out, but you really got to get hands-on experience for the couplings.
And I'd say for the buckets, it's really hard to get the coordination of your hands because you're reaching for the full one with one hand and then reaching for the empty one with the other and not crossing them and getting in that rhythm and coordinating with other people is it takes a lot of teamwork.
Teamwork, you just got to make sure that you and your team are communicating and doing well.
I joined the department in 1954. We used to race the engine leave the firehouse, run up to the hydrant, hook onto it, and then lay our hose. But each using an engine, some of the engine were at a disadvantage, so about 4 or 5 years later, we just hooked up an engine and laid out the hose. So it was equal competition for everybody.
Ferndale Company 3 won the hose relay, and Rio Dell won the bucket brigade.
The Ferndale Fire Department Washington Games happen on the 3rd Sunday of every February. From Ferndale, I'm Savana Robinson for Redwood News.
Humdog, a local dog obedience group, has been putting on a dog expo every year for 35 years now. This year, the expo at Redwood Acres featured 40 booths with 26 breeds of dogs and 9 different dog sport demonstrations.
Humdog goal is to teach people responsible dog ownership. And the event today, Dog Expo, is to let the community see the different types of breeds and learn about how their dog or a dog would fit in their family.
I have 2 breeds of dogs, and I want to introduce people to these breeds of dogs. This is more of a meet the breeds, so people who are interested in these different kinds of dogs can meet them and see them in person.
Behind me is a flash mob, a demonstration of Rally, which is like a mental obstacle course for your dog.
Sports are just so wonderful to have. It really bonds you with your animal. And the more you do with your animal, the happier you're going to be with your dog. And there's so much camaraderie in the community with the dog family. And there's all kinds of sports that you can do no matter how athletic you are. There's other sports that don't require running or jumping.
What a perfect event to get everybody together to, celebrate different dogs. And lots of dogs here all have unique traits and capabilities, different kind of things throughout the day for interests of different people and their dogs.
Behind me is Agility, a sport where handlers run their dogs through a variety of obstacles. It requires strategy, thorough training, and a bond between trainer and dog.
This is Theodore. He is a purebred Bernese mountain dog. Something that is unusual for his breed that he loves to do is agility. So a lot of obedience training, kind of working with your dog in a team way to get them to follow your body language, to go over obstacles. There's lots of fun obstacles. It's a course that involves a lot of running, jumping, going through tunnels, on a teeter-totter. It's a lot of work for a dog, especially somebody as big as him. This is my first time participating in the expo. It's a great crowd, something for people to do in our community. People are just here because they love dogs.
From Eureka, I'm Savana Robinson for Redwood News. The Girl Scouts of Northern California have a new CEO. I spoke with Mary Jane Strom about her vision for the organization. One of Strom's main points was to expand access to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics opportunities.
We know that our girls are really interested in science, technology, engineering, and math. So we're doing as many programs as a council that we can. We're also looking to partner with as many STEM organizations and companies as possible so that we can have a whole library of opportunities for all of our girls to explore and sample out different avenues of STEM and also look at careers in STEM, just like community service.
Strom also emphasized the importance of progression for Girl Scouts.
Girl Scouts are really active members of the community. So with everything in Girl Scouts, no matter what the program, whether it's sports or arts or the outdoors or community service, it's all about a progression. We have girls, over 100 girls every year around Northern California who earn something called the Gold Award, where they're at the top of sort of the community service progression, if you will, and they have really sampled all of the community service they're interested in, and they found that one thing that they're the most passionate about, and they've worked to create a project that's sustainable and carries on long after they graduate from high school that will be a benefit to the community and the world around them.
The main goal of the Girl Scouts is to give girls opportunities to learn and grow to be confident and successful.
We're working on growing girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place. That's our motto. And so at every age level, the girls are trying out being courageous, being confident, and then, just being good stewards to the community.
Empowering girls to have a voice for themselves, and confidence is part of that, decision making, is essential for girls to have a success and to see themselves as succeeding in the future. We show them that they can accomplish things that maybe they didn't realize they could. And that's one way to inspire confidence.
Behind me is Grange number 505, where local Girl Scouts hold meetings and events. From Humboldt County, I'm Savannah Robinson for Redwood News. Dozens watched as a CAL FIRE helicopter dropped water from the Mad River onto a fire in Blue Lake. The helicopter was already there for a demonstration, but the fire was not planned. The Blue Lake Safety Fair was going on at Perigo Park when smoke started to rise about a mile away.
It was the darndest thing. Here we were in Blue Lake, and our fire captains watched a transformer explode about a mile from here, and vegetation fire started. So we waited, are we gonna get the call, are we not? And we got a call, so we hooked up the bucket here in their wonderful ballpark and went to the river, got water, and started dropping water on the fire.
Heard something start up there near the power lines and watched it for a minute and then saw smoke start, called it in and went to work. As did all the other volunteers, Blue Lake, a lot of the local cooperators who all jumped on it pretty quick.
It was a full wildland dispatch, so we had an air attack and a tanker show up. Engines were dispatched as well. But I did my piece, which is fly a helicopter, put water on fire.
It was a sight to behold.
My planning partner, Jason Cruz, who's on the Blue Lake Volunteer Fire Department, ran in and said, "There's a fire, I might have to go." Came outside and CAL FIRE was loading up in their helicopter, ready to take off and go fight fire. We got to watch them dip their bucket into the mad and bring it up and extinguish the fire, and it's the coolest thing that could have happened at the safety fair today. It was so exciting. It was exciting for me. I felt like I was a little kid. My mind was blown.
Onlookers that came to see the helicopter up close also got to see it in action.
Just to hear how excited the kids that were here, seeing the helicopter take off, go get water, drop it, the other plane coming in, dropping the fire department red stuff, it was just so epic.
According to the pilot, the helicopter only had an hour and a half of fuel, but when it came back from dropping water, Nealon spared some fuel. From Blue Lake, I'm Savannah Robinson for Redwood News. I'm at the Mad River Fish Hatchery, which is expected to cease operations next month due to increased regulatory demands, aging infrastructure, and operational expenses.
We estimate that we would need an additional $1 million annually to operate the facility and the associated monitoring program in the river. on top of the money that we already spend. And then we likely have about $10 million in deferred maintenance that needs to occur at the facility. And then additionally, $30 million to make the facility more climate resilient. The Mad River has a federally threatened steelhead species on it under the Federal Endangered Species Act. And CDFW secured a Federal Endangered Species Act permit through a hatchery genetic management plan. And that hatchery genetic management plan requires a lot of things, but one of the things it requires is that we spawn a very large proportion of the hatchery operations with natural origin fish and not hatchery origin fish. And it also reduced the total number of fish that we can produce at the facility. And those two driving factors of the federal permit have made it really hard to operate the facility since that permit was issued. In the long run, we just don't think it's sustainable to operate under that regulatory environment. Generally speaking, a lot of them are going to swim past the hatchery and go back up into the upper Mad River and its tributaries to spawn, versus hatchery origin fish were born at the hatchery, so they're cued into that facility and they return at a higher proportion to the facility. From an environmental perspective, there's an ongoing debate about the positive and negative effects of hatcheries on wild stocks of fish as it relates to competition in the wild with hatchery fish versus natural origin fish, or domestication and reduced fitness in the hatchery.
I think the best way to move forward with, cultivating these wild fish populations is to, provide more habitat restoration, to increase flows.
In 2004, the hatchery closed but was reopened the next year through community support. This time, efforts are already underway with a petition that has amassed nearly 1,600 signatures since Thursday.
I started the petition because I grew up fishing the Mad River. When I was a kid, I caught my first salmon and my first steelhead on that river, and I continue to fish it religiously, and I guide on it, and I take my children fishing on it. They've also got to catch their first steelhead on that river. And I hate to see a good thing like this go away. It's going to affect the local economy a lot. We're going to have 2 more years of returning hatchery fish, and then after that, I'm going to have to drive all the way to almost Oregon, either the Smith River or the Chetco River in Oregon, to guide, to take my people that come from Fresno, Sacramento, and they want to fish, they want to kill a hatchery fish. I'm going to have to take them all the way up there to be able to do that.
The property will remain open to the public for access to the Mad River. From the Mad River Fish Hatchery, I'm Savana Robinson for Redwood News.
We must say something. We must act.
Angry, upset, and disappointed students, faculty, and community members spoke out at the Cal Poly Humboldt University Senate meeting on Tuesday. The Senate motioned to suspend normal Senate rules to allow for a 2.5-hour open forum.
While I'm not surprised by the decision of our university leadership to send police and riot gear to campus in an attempt to quiet the voices of students, I am deeply disappointed and heartbroken by the actions of our university leadership.
This week, more than 300 staff and faculty members of the university signed a letter calling for the resignation of University President Tom Jackson and Chief of Staff Mark Johnson.
This is not the first Senate meeting like this where people are asking, where's the president?
This is in wake of the administration's handling of the pro-Palestine protest at the university that began on April 22nd and was forcibly broken up by law enforcement in the early hours of April 30th.
In times like this, when international events demand our attention and receive the attention of our students, and our students bravely stand up for those things we care, and the rest of us have a responsibility to listen and to maintain a safe space for them to protest. We have failed them. We have created a hostile place. And that is also deeply offensive to me.
I am profoundly ashamed, however, by the manner in which the administration has responded to the protests with absence, negligence, and punitive disciplinary actions taken against members of our community.
Administration was not protecting us that night when they called the riot police. They were protecting property.
Several who spoke asked the Senate to pass a resolution calling for the university to drop all charges against those arrested at the protest.
Drop all and any charges and suspensions for students and faculty without hesitation.
From Arcata, I'm Savannah Robinson for Redwood News. David Josiah Lawson was a Humboldt State student when he was murdered at an off-campus party 7 years ago. He was 19 at the time, and no one has been charged in his murder. On Juneteenth, community leaders began painting a mural in his honor at the D Street Neighborhood Center facing Cal Poly Humboldt.
We chose the D Street Community Center because it is a community healing project, and the community center is a place where people can congregate. So this location is absolutely perfect for it. It was actually a really good wall. The size is nice. It's got great exposure. You can see visibility from the school and from the road is really, really great.
A lot of thought went into designing the mural and its details.
We had basically facilitated a lot of the imagery through discussions with the family. So the family, Charmaine Lawson, requested that that image be used. And then we started talking about the reasons why Josiah chose to come to Humboldt County for school. And it was the redwood trees and the ocean. And so we wanted to have a location that was easily to identify for everybody. So when you look at the mural, you can tell that it's College Cove, and it's something that everyone here kind of has a relationship with. And the text that's at the bottom is actually a facsimile of Josiah's own handwriting, which I think adds an additional emotional charge. And there are also some other like Easter eggs in there that things that the family requested that we wanted to put in there. Josiah liked to skateboard, and so there's a skateboarder in there, which will be rendered in the clouds.
It's not just a mural in his honor, but also a living plant wall.
The bottom half of it, so you notice where the mural kind of ends, beneath that is going to be a living wall. So there'll be plants growing in the bottom 8 feet of that mural, and we're going to be choosing native plants, and they're going to be flowering and fruit-bearing plants. And that was metaphorically tied into something that's living, that needs to be cared for, but it also bears fruit and flowers. So I think metaphorically it ties in quite well with why we're all here.
All members of the community are encouraged to help with the mural.
We have professional muralists here that will help facilitate the members of the community come and help if they so choose. So if they want to come and put a layer of paint on, they can grab a brush and look at the cup. So it's really about a community-generated mural as a gift from the city to the community to help heal.
They expect painting to take a couple of days. From Arcata, I'm Savannah Robinson for Redwood News. After a full week of rallying and occupation, the pro-Palestine protest at Cal Poly Humboldt was broken up by law enforcement around 2:30 a.m. Tuesday, April 30th. Moments earlier, the university sent a shelter-in-place alert to Cal Poly Humboldt residents warning that criminal activity was occurring and it was dangerous to be out on campus. At 2:50 a.m., more than 100 law enforcement officers wearing riot gear swarmed the upper quad, breaking down all barricades in their path. This included using a power saw. Law enforcement attempted to disperse the crowd by insisting that anyone present leave or risk arrest. A group of protesters held their ground in front of the depot, forming a circle while sitting cross-legged with their arms linked together. Law enforcement then proceeded to detain protesters one by one and escort or carry them out of the quad to a makeshift processing center in front of Gist Hall.
We kind of got exhausted out by the constant barrage of cop cars showing up and with their lights and a recorded message of threatening pepper balls and pepper spray and all this stuff, and people were trying to hold down a circle, and then some people, it just happened so fast. We were worn down by the constant. I'm so tired.
There, those detained were officially arrested, had their vitals taken, and were loaded into vans or a bus and transported to the Humboldt County Jail. From Cal Poly Humboldt, I'm Savannah Robinson for Redwood News. For unknown reasons, the protesters at Cal Poly Humboldt decided to take down the barricade on the east side of Siemens Hall and open the building around 5 p.m. Friday.
We're going to open up Siemens Hall. Everyone, welcome.
It is still undetermined who made the decision to open the building and why.
I'm not the person who made this decision. I'm not entirely even sure who made this decision.
Inside Siemens Hall, the walls were covered in graffiti. Protesters broke into the office of Cal Poly Humboldt's president, Tom Jackson. They scrawled messages across his inner office, personal bathroom, and conference room walls and table.
I am so
thankful to finally be in the president's office. I've never been invited to this office. I've never really been invited to any meeting by the president, and I'm the vice president of the faculty union.
Despite opening the doors, protesters continued to come and go from the building, and the term open occupation began to circulate.
If, in fact, they have moved out of Siemens, I'm told it's an open occupation.
It's still occupied.
Okay, thank you. So this is part of what we're trying to understand, right?
By 6 o'clock, protesters could be seen returning doors, chairs, and desks to offices and classrooms. I'm Savannah Robinson for Redwood News.
The world of glassblowing is infinite and has only pushed the envelope as techniques have progressed. I spoke to several local lamp workers to learn about the craft, the industry, and the artistry.
Lampworking or flameworking is a type of glass blowing that uses a torch.
The glass blowing scene, like as far as like the American glass blower is concerned, like the movement of it, there's been a series of ups and downs. Right now we are, like most people, we're experiencing a little lull because of economic issues, I would assume. It's all connected to like the cannabis industry, the whole legalization thing. The market gets saturated, the regulation comes in. The glass scene boomed with the cannabis scene because, especially being, pipes, it was very symbiotic. It's like when the people in the hills don't have a pocket full of cash, they're not going into town and buying clothes and, going out to dinner, and it did anyway have a positive effect on the community.
It's just not as easy to make a living doing it as it was 20 years ago when I started. It was kind of like the cost of doing it has doubled, the materials have doubled, but the price of the glass has gone down in general, unfortunately. And so there's a huge flood of imported glass that I'm sure everybody's seen at gas stations and cheap shops and online, imitating American glass that's really diluted the market.
I guess it also comes into where you need to, like with anything, adjust to the market. That is the cool thing about glass, is you can make just about anything.
Glass is a versatile medium that can be used to bring imagination to life.
The possibilities really are endless. If you can think about it in your brain, and you see like a beginning and an end and like some of the process in the middle, you should be able to pull it off.
But once you get going, it's like your training comes into play and you start trying to orient the space so that you're activating everything visually as much as you can and tying everything together so that the eye bounces around the piece in a smooth fashion and it's enjoyable to look at.
I developed my techniques around the simultaneous starting of me blowing glass and me studying chemistry at UC Santa Cruz. I found I had a knack for glass blowing, and I've always had a pretty good eye for detail and attention to small little things. So while learning how to blow glass, I had the idea to make a molecule out of glass. I really just spent almost a year or two really developing new techniques and shrinking down all of the principles of glass blowing and flame working and figuring out smaller torches, thinner pieces of glass, more precise movements. And I was really fascinated that almost everything about glass blowing and flame working on a larger scale translated exactly to a tiny scale.
From Humboldt County, I'm Savannah Robinson for Redwood News.